And Russia is being given lessons by the African continent. It is a message contained in the chat with the President of the African Union Commission and also the President of the African Union, who doubles as the head of state. Macky Sall, Senegalese president, met the Russian President Vladimir Putin on behalf of the African continent. Also in this edition of the newscast, we shall be showing you images of the rescue mission of the elements of the National Army Rescue Unit, who fought hard to contain flames which were threatening houses around the Foncha Street neighborhood in the northwest regional chieftain of Bamenda. In this edition of the news, we shall also talk sports. Elite One Championship in Cameroon. We want to know the results, but also results of matches counting for the 2023 Total Energy Africa Cup of Nations to be played in the West African nation of Cote d'Ivoire. These stories and more will be yours, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Stay with us. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for choosing to listen to information on Equinoxe Television. Now on to the Primetime Newscast. We are on Equinoxe. We live from Douala, Cameroon's economic capital city. We start in education to talk about the baccalaureate certificate examination. It is an equivalent of the advanced level certificate in the English subsystem of education. It's been written by students of terminal in the French subsystem of education, the written part of baccalaureate, which has officially ended across the national triangle today. It was, however, a difficult writing period for kids who complained that they had difficulties getting to school with the hike in the prices of basic commodities. Most of their parents had to spend on food and not having money to send them to go write the examination. Remember, in the nation's central region, we also had a situation where a wall of a building collapsed on some of the candidates sitting in for the examination. Just how the baccalaureate examination went on in some centers across Cameroon is the focus of the report that is coming up. It's been compiled by Malak Glory.
In relief, that dropped their pens and final papers on the writing part of the baccalaureate official examination. These final year students from college are filled with much anticipation and anxiety to get to the university, despite the challenges encountered throughout the academic year. Everything went on well. We were writing while respecting the barrier measures. The security was also maintained, though the structure of the exams changed, making it difficult. Meanwhile, different professional schools are already flaunting their flyers to the students to attract them to their schools. I wish to study information and technology. I wish to enroll in school. It was a wild ride for the students this academic year, following the constant breaks such as teachers' strike and the African Cup of Nations, but the students hope the markers will be considerate. We thought with the different breaks during the academic year, such as the teachers' strike and the AFCON, the exams was going to be easy, but unfortunately it wasn't the case. We hope the markers will understand. Meanwhile, all the students will be taking their last paper this Saturday, which is an optional subject.
And now, away from education, we talk the rescue mission of elements of the National Firefighting unit. As you see on your screens there, they are those of the Northwest Regional Chieftain Bamenda, where officials of the Army Rescue Unit specialized in firefighting have contained the flames of a burning vehicle from spreading further at the Foncha Street neighborhood of the Northwest Regional Chieftain Bamenda. The vehicle was transporting contraband fuel, according to local officials, when it went in flames in Bamenda. The flames threatened to extend from the main road, that is, extending from the main road to neighboring buildings or surrounding buildings of the Foncha Street neighborhood of Bamenda before they intervention of the fire fighting unit of the National Army Rescue Unit, the flames were contained on time, and local inhabitants say it created panic and fears as the vehicle went in flames in the very early hours of the day. And still on rescue mission, we talk about this other woman who was rescued by the local population and some elements of the Army Rescue Unit. We are in the northern regions of Cameroon. The woman fell into a very deep well, as local sources indicate, but thanks to the cries, the neighbors got and alerted elements of the National Army Rescue Unit, who worked in collaboration with the local population to retrieve the woman from the deep well. We are close on the story and shall be coming back to it subsequently. Inhabitants of Kulundum. Kulundum is a neighborhood in Yaoundé in the central region of Cameroon, are being threatened by an eviction exercise. They say that their house is constructed on the land which extends to over 10 hectares, are all threatened by a demolition exercise which has already started, breaking down houses. The people question the process at a time when they are brandishing land certificate duly given to them by the government of Cameroon. However, those behind the demolition and forceful eviction exercise say that the segment or the area concerned is being programmed for use for economic purposes by the Yaoundé City Council. We have their cries and frustrations expressed by Simanjikan Gabriel in the following report.
An internally displaced woman residing in Nkolondom, Yaoundé Central region, is in total distress. This lady's shelter has just been broken. I ran away from war. I came with the little money I had on me to rest in Yaoundé, but I have met with the real separatists. Look at me and my children. We have been sleeping under the rain. The internally displaced woman is amongst many others in the locality who have seen their houses destroyed, with instructions coming from the city council of Yaoundé. A poultry farmer also lost everything. I was never informed about the destruction. I only received a call from my family that bulldozers are destroying my place. When I arrived, I noticed that my poultry has been destroyed. Not too far from this zone, in another vicinity, many were left speechless after their houses were marked to be demolished. Agents of the city council came to our neighborhood, marked everyone's house, then left us with summon letters. We've been at the city council several times. Nobody received us, but they said they made a mistake at the site. If many fingers are pointing at the urban planning and housing unit of the city council to be the ones destroying homes, the inhabitants of Nkolodum have a different explanation. We registered this land since 1996, and the land titles were already out. It was when we constructed a bridge that we were told we had no right to build a bridge. Immediately, he arrived and destroyed the bridge. After we waited for compensation to no avail, we wrote to the minister, who gave us the go-ahead. That is how we started work here again. We are not far from seeing that the Anje family has continued to do what they best know, destroying people's homes, and they want to have the whole land to themselves. Talking to Jean-Claude Olinga, who has been accused for the demolition, he told us that the site in question is under the care of the city council. At the city council premises, the head of the urban planning and housing unit sent us to his collaborators, who told us that it is only the city council that has a final say on the said piece of land. The victims of the destruction at Nkolodom say it's not normal for the government to send them away just because they want to put up a fish pond project on their land.
And we come back to the information concerning the lady who fell into the well in west region of Cameroon. it was the west region and not the north region of the country, and recalled that the lady was retrieved, not alive. Her lifeless body was pulled out of the well in Bamungum, that's one of the villages of the west region of Cameroon. The lady, according to information, is 66-year-old, and she and circumstances that got her into the well are still very unclear. But elements of the army rescue unit got there and pulled her lifeless body, according to information. But as you got in that report from Simanji Kangebre expressing the worries of victims of the forceful eviction and demolition exercise in Kolondom in the central region of Cameroon, most of them say that they are internally displaced. They've been forced out of their houses in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon by the armed conflict that has been hitting the regions for several years now. Some say close to 6 years in Cameroon. But just how have different actors in Cameroon been contributing in helping the return to normalcy in the Anglophone region has been a concern of so many other people, especially individuals that are directly affected by the crisis. And our question asked to an artist in Douala was to know just what musicians have been doing also to help bring back normalcy and also help to calm the spirits of Cameroonians, most of them who are not only suffering the war in the northwest, southwest, and the far north region of Cameroon, but also a difficult economic environment characterized by a hike in the prices of basic commodities. Take a listen to him in the following extract.
The musical industry in Cameroon can help quench a lot of problems, especially some of us who are singing, who are preaching peace through our message in the music. Cameroon is facing problems like other countries, talk about Burkina Faso, Ukraine, and other countries that are facing problems. We, the musicians, especially those of us who are giving a good message, is to put peace. We are preaching peace in order to help those people, especially some of our brothers from the northwest and the southwest region who have run away from the havoc in that area. They are around here when they're listening peace, they feel a little bit moved. In my composition, you see so many reading African music. You can see Njang, you can see Manjong, you can see all those African music. You find the collection of African music. I'm original. Everything about me is African music. Like the album I'm about to present tomorrow. I expect my colleagues artists to join me celebrate the African culture. So they should join me so that we should sing African music tomorrow at Lycée Polyvalent Bonaberi here.
And as efforts multiply, people continue to argue, or some individuals continue to argue and sustain the argument of that the key to the end of the armed conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon is in the hands of the President of the Republic, His Excellency President Paul Biya, and others have also argued that the crisis in the Anglophone regions is being neglected by the African Union and other bodies like the United Nations, reasons why they expect the United Nations officials to always talk about it and find a solution when they meet with state officials in Cameroon. As you see on your screens, it was the meeting between His Excellency President Paul Biya in Yaoundé with an official of the United Nations. He is the head of the United Nations delegation within the Central African sub-region. He met with President Paul Biya, and details on their discussions have however not been made public to officials, but Lucas have always expected that such encounters and audiences have a direct impact on the lives of people, especially as regards to the crisis that has been rocking the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. And I will talk something else linked with sovereignty, diplomacy, and the integrity of Cameroon. This time around, as security at the borders between Cameroon and its neighboring countries, which continue to preoccupy stakeholders and locals. And in the following report, Simanji Kangebe takes a look at the security experts from Cameroon and the Central African Republic who've been fine-tuning strategies on how to curb cross-border insecurity and problems, especially in the east region of Cameroon that shares a porous and long borders with the Central African Republic. The meeting holding in Gaoundéré, according to officials, is to seek a solution to rising insecurity on the Cameroon Central African Republic border. His report.
of insecurity along the borders of Cameroon and Central African Republic has forced top-ranking military officers of the two neighboring countries to meet in a bid to get a lasting solution to the transborder trouble. In 2013, we noticed the resurfacing of the Seleka rebel group, which aggravated the security situation at the borders. After some time, we had the multiplication of armed groups in our territory, and this is a huge problem, not only to us, but also to the neighboring countries. We are here to reflect and find solutions to maintain peace in our borders.
Et éventuellement proposer des solutions afin de nous mettre à pied d'œuvre pour établir la sécurité à nos frontières.
The gathering taking place in Gaoundéré will see these security forces look at ways to stop the rebels from causing havoc at the borders, as well as securing villages frequently hit by the armed groups, which at times will lead to the natives being killed, cattle herds stolen, alongside kidnapping and the demand for ransoms. The two-day workshop was declared open by Adamawa's governor, Kildadi Tagweke Buka.
We have a common border, Central Africa and Cameroon, and at that border we have some worries, difficulties linked to the presence of rebels, the presence of armed groups. So I think when we meet like we are doing today, it's just for us to seek ways and means how to curb down all those problems linked to our common security.
As a result of the ongoing crisis in the Central African Republic, Cameroon is hosting over 345,000 refugees who are residing in the East and Adamawa regions, respectively.
Samad Dikangebe reporting there. And just before the report on cross-border challenges between Cameroon and the Central African Republic, I was talking about the audience granted the outgoing UN official by the President, His Excellency Paul Biya. But images on your screens are rather images of an audience between the President of the Federation of Russia, or the Russian Federation, and the Senegalese President in his capacity as the African Union President, President Macky Sall, who also went to take the African stand to Russia vis-a-vis the crisis that is rocking Russia and Ukraine. And of course, President Macky Sall had a one-on-one chat with the Russian President and also extended Africa's position and also advice. In the course of that audience granted the Senegalese head of state by a Russian president, the Senegalese president used the opportunity to urge the Russian president Vladimir Putin to consider the suffering in African countries from the food shortages caused by the conflict in Ukraine. Sall, the Senegalese president, asked Putin to become aware that African nations, even if they are far from the theater of the action, referring to the war in Ukraine, are victims on an economic level, and urged the Russian president to consider its stance and see that normalcy returns to the conflict areas in Ukraine. That was the message in his capacity as the African Union President. But just before that, I was talking about the audience granted the outgoing official of the UN, President Paul Biya. In the course of that audience, President Paul Biya commended the efforts of the United Nations in seeing a return to normalcy in the conflict-stricken northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon that has continued to see a metamorphosis of acts and violence in all forms. People beheaded, others forced out of their homes, others having their houses burned, and also having family members, brothers and sisters, fathers kidnapped, with several of them forced out into the neighboring Federal Republic of Nigeria. The high-level displacement in the Anglophone regions of Cameroon has not even stopped. Even those crossing the border to neighboring Nigeria has not stopped. In the course of the week, we have reports of persons forced out of several villages in Apaya subdivision of the Manu into the neighboring Federal Republic of Nigeria, with their houses destroyed as the conflicts continue to rage on. We are still on reports of the kidnapped and consequent rescue of Senator Regina Mundi, who is a member of the Upper House of Parliament. She spent 30 days in the hands of abductors. These are just instances of just how terrible the situation is in the northwest and southwest English-speaking regions of Cameroon. And I will take on the international page. Glory Malat makes a roundup of just how the African continent has been faring in her report. She starts with the move from South Africa, where some South Africans have gone to the streets demonstrating and asking some African nationals to leave their country, South Africa, the Rainbow Nation, and go back to their countries. Her report. Unfortunately, the sound with that report is problematic. We're going to be coming back to it subsequently. But time for us to talk sport, still at the international level. But just before we go to sport at the international level, let's take a look at how the National League One Championship is faring in Cameroon. First of all, Sport Elite One results of matches played in the Cameroon National League One Championship. As you see on your screens there, the sporting activity has been unfolding across the National Triangle perfectly, and the results you see there are results of the 18 and the 21 of the National League One Championship in Cameroon, as seen on your screens. Tonnerre Calara Club of Yaoundé separated on a virgin draw with Azul Football Club, and Canon of Yaoundé had a better side of us. That is AS Fortuna, edging AS Fortuna 2-1. We also have Star Rena of Melon, who suffered a 0-1 spanking in the hands of Apejes of Fu. Jiku FC of Banjul had a better side of the sister club from the West Region, Panther, edging Panther Football Club 1-0. And other scores are seen on your screens there, and with Young Sport Academy of Bamenda, which also suffered a 1-0 spanking in the hands of a different club. And those are results of the 18 and 21 on the National League One Championship in Cameroon. I will stay in sport to take you to information out of the Cameroon to talk sport at the international level. Now, this one is the results of matches played at the African level continent, at the African continental level, and the qualification for the Africa Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire on the continental level. Results of the Total Energy Africa Cup of Nations Cote d'Ivoire 2023 qualifiers, which are now known on your screens. You have Zimbabwe, which separated on a 1-0 tie with Rwanda, a sister nation from Eastern Africa. We also have Tunisia that had a better side of Equatorial Guinea, edging Equatorial Guinea 4-0 as far as results are concerned. And I will take on the program for today as far as the qualification. Remember that Cameroon will be playing tomorrow, but for matches to be played today, we have the table as follows. Comoros is expected to take on Lesotho today. They were expected to play the match at 1 p.m. We are yet to have the result because the match was programmed for 1 p.m. Cameroon time. And Togo on its part is expected, or was expecting to take on Eswatini at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. We are yet to have the results, but the matches that are to be played after this newscast is that of Burkina Faso to take on Cape Verde at 7 p.m. today, and the host nation Cote d'Ivoire is to take on Zambia at 7 p.m. Cameroon time. And those sports results and program for today brings us to the end of this edition of the News on Equinoxe. I will remind you that tomorrow the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon will be taking on a match with a group of players selected at the local level. Ladies and gentlemen, stay with Equinoxe. Coming up, we have Equinoxe and other interesting programs. Sport in details will be yours. We have our sports program for Saturday. Stay with Equinoxe.